So if you've seen the Instagram story a couple weeks ago, my camera had finally come in for my Bobcat excavator. I bought it, I think it was last February. It's got the touch screen in it, everything's plug and play ready for the camera. It didn't have it in it, and they had to order the camera, and there was a back order. I think there was a back order on all kinds of cameras because I had one in my John Deere skid steer that went bad, and it took 6 months to get it in. But anyways, about 2 weeks ago, my salesman dropped this off here at the house, and I went down there and got looking around where we're going to mount it at, and realized there's not a window in the back door, you know, over the motor. And so I got looking around and realized it must be mounting up top on some brackets at the top of the cab. But no instructions, no bolts, and it would have had to mount on the side. And I was like, well, that ain't right. So sent my sales rep a message, and he got back with his people, and they found a parts diagram and sent that to me, and realized that I was missing this bracket. So the other day I was here, and he dropped this off to me. You know, if you got a good sales rep, that's 90% of the experience with a brand. And luckily I got a real good sales rep, and he drove all the way out to drop that off, and then drove all the way out here to drop this off. So he showed up the other day. We got the bracket. We got 2 bolts to mount it to the vertical bracket on the excavator, and we got the nuts for that, and then 2 nuts for the bolts that are somewhere that bolt this to that. So, and of course, you know, he brought me a few goodies. He brought me a new license plate, an old koozie, and of course another hat. It's always good to have. They tend to come up missing. I don't wear them very often, but if you got a good hat in your truck, you know, you guys will grab it in a heartbeat. So Lepo wrench, I don't know how you say it. I call it Lepo wrench. It's they're a rental company, but they sell Bobcat, and I'll be honest with you, I've been real happy with them. He also dropped by some big old bolts that I didn't realize I needed. I guess the guys in the shop told him that they had ordered these because I bought a plate compactor from them late last fall for the excavator. I bought it out of the rental fleet. I had used it a year before. They had to put a new exchange mount on it, and evidently they just used some grade 8 bolts they had in the shop, and technically you're supposed to have a stronger one. So that was good of them. I didn't know nothing about it. I knew they put a new mount on it before he delivered it, but so we got them. So, Benz, there is no instructions anywhere on this other than the pictures that he was able to send me. I figure we'll do a little video on putting this in, because I searched all over the YouTube and couldn't find nothing, you know, a couple weeks ago about it. So I'm gonna run down there and get the excavator, walk it up here, so if we need another part, we don't have to walk back and forth, and it's easier to be lazy. So I'm gonna run down there and grab that, and we'll get it set up, and we'll put this thing in, let you all see how it goes. One thing we still are missing is a grommet to where this cord will go through the back of the cab. And it's not on the parts list nowhere. The parts diagram showed it on here, unless it's very, very, very flat in there. I don't see it, so I guess we'll be doing some silicone. So let me go get the excavator, we'll get set up, and we'll see if we can just put this thing on. All right, so we got the excavator pulled up here. See if I can jump up here one-handed without busting the old butt. Now what the parts diagram that he texted me calls for is there's supposed to be a grommet right here. Take that out and run the cable through there. There's actually 2 knockouts up there. I don't know if y'all be able to see them from the light. If I get it right, there's one right there, and there's one right there. This one I can actually feel it move a little bit. So evidently we don't have to drill a hole, we just need to pop them out. And then we'll come in here on the inside, and this is where things gonna be a little bit different from what they sent me. See if I can get you all over here. A little directions call for taking that speaker grill off, and then taking the tray up that's back here behind the seat. I don't have a tray, so we don't have to worry about that, but I do have that side pillar little fabric right there. I do not see that plug laying behind this console anywhere.
I'm hoping it may be that one smaller cable right there that's not wrapped. So I think in my instance, and if your machine's like this is an E60 R2 series, it looks like we're going to need to take that B or pillar or C pillar, whatever we want to call it, we're going to need to take that little cover off there. So I'm going to get a screwdriver and pull that grill off, and that's going to be a Phillips head, and looks like a Torx bit right here. And we'll get that pulled off. We'll see if we got a plug laying around in there. All right, so we got a screw right there and a screw right there. And they appear to be T27. T25 is what most of our, screws, wood screws, 3-inch screws, deck screws, stuff that we use. Normally that's a T25. So this is a T27. So I'll see if I can hold this and get these screw out of here without dropping it. This is where it is going to be different from the plans that, or the parts deal that they texted me, is it didn't show this. And like I said, it shows a little tray being right back here. So my machine is a 2022 E60 R2 series. So it's the new R2. So evidently there's going to be a few differences in what we got compared to what the drawing is. Now I did just realize that I am still missing the 2 bolts that I will need to bolt the camera to the 90-degree bracket that they brought me. So I'm still gonna have to go find some bolts somewhere. Kind of imagine that. It's just the way it is nowadays. All right, so let's see what we got here. See, we just got that bracket right there for trim. Look at that. There's the model serial number of my machine head back there. So I'm hoping this wire may be this one right here. I don't know. So next thing is I'm gonna put this phone down and just try to get these 4 screws out of that speaker without dropping them. Well, it does not appear that the cable is in there. If you see the regular cable that we see, and that is actually the antenna cable. And the loomed cable appears to be, the speakers are right there. I don't know where that loom cable may go to this light over here. But it does not appear that the cable for the backup camera is up there. So that means that it is going to be somewhere inside of here still. So we're going to have to pull some screws out here and do some exploring. They send you a long cable that ties from the camera to the existing plug. So let me do some more digging around. I swear I've seen that plug somewhere in this machine. So let me do some digging around and see what we find. Okay, so I learned something. So I started pulling out all these push pins that were in here, down here. And what I noticed is there's one, y'all see it down there, that cannot get to. I got to the ones down here. I was gonna take this whole cover off, fighting that, getting aggravated, and then I thought about this piece right here that is mounted right there that has your backup alarm speaker and your USB charger and your headphones. I said, well, let's just see if that'll come out. And I pulled it and it popped out. So I thought, and I said earlier, I thought I had seen this plug before. This is the kind of plug that the camera's got on it. And I want to say when I bought this machine, that plug was sticking out right down here. I may be wrong. Sometimes like deja vu, but I put my light down in there and I found this plug down in there. So I think I'm pretty sure this is the camera plug. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go grab the camera real quick. That's just a dummy plug. I'm gonna pull that out and we're gonna plug her in. We're gonna see if that is the correct wire. And if that is, that'll make everything so much simpler. And we'll be on the home stretch then. I'm gonna go get the camera. We'll see what we got. Okay, so that is good news. That plug was the camera. I just got it temporary plugged in right here. Here's the camera. It is sideways right now. It will be mounted like that. And if you look at the screen right there, see, look at that. That is the camera. So it was easier to get to than I thought. I need to put them push pins back in. And now we'll just go ahead and run the cable. We got to knock that knockout out. And shoot, we're almost there. This is plug and play. All I did is I plugged it into there, pulled the dummy plug out and plugged it in, and then turned the machine on. I don't have the machine running. And then went to my camera, so you can go right back to your gauges. Now there is, if I remember, if I don't have hydraulics hooked up, I believe this trigger finger on this joystick will automatically turn the camera on if you don't have it on full time. Okay, I'm gonna put the push pins back in and go ahead and run the cable. Okay, so I got the wire ran down right here. Now I will tell you what I ended up doing is there is a push pin. I don't think I'll be able to get you back in there, but there is a push pin right here below where them wires go in that little gap. I did pull that push pin out, and that let me move that a little bit more like that, because there is 10 tons of shit in a 2-ton sack right here. So I do have it in there. I got it right here. Now you will need to, I don't know if y'all can see this, but there's, when you run that cable up here, there's a notch in the metal right there. You're gonna need to pop this liner down just a little bit. It'll pop right out underneath there. I don't know if y'all can see in there or not, but turn y'all up in there. So there's a little break in the frame right there, or you can get your plug up in there. Now I did just knock the plug out. You can see it right there. I do not know where it went. I still haven't found it. I did it from the outside. I just took a socket and a dead blow hammer, and I'd smack it a couple good times, which it was kind of hard to see from the way the sun is right now. So what I'm gonna do is go ahead and get set up and mount the camera and get that plug through there. And like I said, we're gonna have some silicone or something in order to fill that hole, because I don't have a grommet. I am gonna go ahead and measure it, so maybe I can find one later. Well, sometimes you just have to wonder if you're just not supposed to do something. This seems to be the ongoing thing with everything nowadays. You know, things are packaged incorrectly and missing parts, and I don't know what's going on with the world, but I was gonna go ahead and mount this camera to this bracket. This is the bracket that I've been waiting on. The way it does, this camera bolts right up to there, and this bracket will bolt onto the machine, you know, just like that. It bolts onto the ear on the machine at the back window, and then you can adjust the angle of it. But this bolt pattern is wider than them 2 holes. So I don't know if they ordered the wrong bracket, or if it was packaged wrong. I'm kind of leaning towards the package wrong deal. I don't know. I just don't know. So what I'm gonna do is, I'm not gonna send this back and go through all this again. I'm gonna go ahead and just modify this bracket. Go ahead and measure these 2 holes, and I don't think I'll be able to drill them. I think they're right beside them 2, so I don't want a big hole to come in there. So I'm probably gonna move the camera forward just a little bit. Just wanna make sure it's up underneath there a little bit. And I'll go ahead and measure this spread, and we'll center punch them and take drill them out, or maybe go over and see if I can get to the drill press and drill them out. I don't know. Let's go ahead and get it measured, I guess. So what I decided to do is I'm gonna set the new holes on this line right here. That's the old holes right up underneath there, and they're roughly 42 inches apart. That line right there is not correct, so about where that one. Should have done it on the underside to make it more stable to center punch it, but it's just easier to do it on the outside. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and center punch these, drill a couple holes, and this sucker will be ready to bolt up. All right, so I got it on there. I honestly don't know if I should have took that other bracket off or not, but I went ahead and just put it on. Got a a little bit of the stud left up there. It does have a lock washer on it, so we'll just have to watch that. If that gives me any problem, I'll just take that other bracket off. So I figured if we left that on there, it just spread that clamping force out. This little camera can be adjusted by these Allen head screws right there. You can loosen them up, and then you can rotate this camera. It also has an adjustment right here. This be the top bolt it'll mount into on the back window, and then for my size machine, it says you're gonna put the bottom hole on the bolt right there. That would actually make that where it'll tilt down, and I assume that's because, you know, they're using this camera on all their different machines. The E60 is quite a bit taller than, say, a 25 or whatever. So that is that. Now it's just a matter, we'll go back out there, put this cable through the hole. Have to decide how I'm gonna silicone that so it don't get no chaffing on it. I need to measure the hole. Maybe I can find a grommet somewhere else and come back and, you know, put that in. But for right now, we'll silicone it up. So I'm gonna take this out there and just get it mounted up, and we'll start putting everything back together, and we'll show y'all how that looks once we get that hooked up. Okay, so we got it in. I still got to put this panel up. One thing you do need to take note on is the plug that comes off the camera itself. I'll show you on the outside, but I chose the knockout that was closest to the antenna right here. That hole is smaller than the end of that plug. I got it to go through there. It peeled the rubber on it just a little bit. I took a socket, knocked it in, but it'll fit. But if your machine's like mine does not have an existing grommet, then you may want to check that. So your cable runs down. One thing to pay attention to, I didn't do it the first time, luckily I didn't have everything put together, is when I put the cable in, I did not drop it through there. I caught it though before I put the console back together. What I did find out, like I said, don't do like I did. You don't have to take all these old push pins out and take this away. Just pop this off. It just pops right out. If your machine don't have this option, I'm sure it'll just have a block off plate on it. Now, what I did, because this little slot right here where these cables go in, there is a push pin on the back side of that. You do need to take that out. And to make it easier, because it's hard to spread this panel does have a trim clip right here. But if you'll come over here by your blade lever, so y'all can see it, there's a little Phillips head screw right there. Take that screw out, be careful you don't drop it. Once you do that, you can put a screwdriver, or if you got a trim panel device, it actually work better. Put that in there and you can pop that. That old metal trim clip's right in there, but it just pops over. That will give you room to open this up and get your cable in there easier, because you have a cluster in here. I did take all the excess cable, looped it up, put a tie wrap on it, and put it in there because I did not want it back there in the back. So my next thing to do is put this trim panel on, which luckily that'll be about the easiest thing. 2 screws. The camera does work. I'll show you the outside right here. Now, I did get it in there and had to adjust the camera. It's just, you know, the way this project is going. I don't know if we see from the sun, but the camera was 90 degrees to the side. So there's a screw on the bottom, each side of this camera. It comes with 2 different Allen wrenches, but it's the little one, and I had to rotate the camera 90 degrees. And what I did is I just turned the monitor on in there, and I could watch. So as you can see, maybe you'll get lucky. Your machine will have a grommet, and you won't have to deal with that. Another thing I did notice, like I said, they sent me instructions that was in their parts deal, and on there it was talking about on an E60 that you would want to use the bottom hole on this bracket. There's 3 holes that's in an arc. That way you see that bracket tilts down. There is not enough room on this machine to put that bolt in that hole. That bracket cannot come down all the way. So I think most likely what is happening is stuff like this, you know, Bobcat's got, and it might have been something that was on a previous design, and they're, you know, using that up and using it on the newer machines, and not everything's working. I think a lot of their instructions are dated too. you know, like I said, the bracket was different. But altogether, I mean, it was a pain in the ass, but that's what it'll take to get it in. I will put the parts instructions, I'll put them in the end of this video or attach it to a file or something on the YouTube video, and you'll be able to take a look at them. Maybe you'll get lucky and yours will be a little bit simpler, but camera works pretty good. There is backup lines on it. I believe they are in the system of the machine already, because that's how I originally realized the camera was 90 degrees out, as the backup lines were straight and the camera was twisted. So you can turn them on in your screen. We'll turn this on real quick and I'll show it to you. All right, on my machine, I don't know how yours would be, but this button right here will click the camera on, or you can hit it on your touch screen. If you don't have the touch screen, you'll have to look in your book for the older style. You see it does have backup lines. I don't know if y'all can see that, so. But you can set that, just go to the gears. There's the backup lines. You can adjust them for the width right there. See, you know, it's used on different size machines. And you can turn the center line on or off. So there you go. Not too bad. I mean, that all works pretty old good. So it's nice to have it. I think Bobcat does need to make some adjustments on getting their parts together. It has nothing to do with dealer, but like I said, luckily I got a pretty good dealer. So that's it. And now you'll have a rough idea how to put this camera in when it comes and doesn't have no instructions in it. Y'all have a good one.